Hi everyone, welcome to On the Other Hand. I'm Ariane Zurcher, and today I'm doing something I've actually never done before. So I have no idea how this is going to work, but or turn out for that matter. But I am going to flip the way I start creating a vessel. So in the past, what I've done is I've started with materials that I've then layered and kind of stitched and built up, creating with paper, sometimes with some of my collage on different kinds of paper, found objects, all kinds of things that I incorporate, stitches, lots of different stitching. And then I have used wire to manipulate that fiber that I've created and kind of used the wire to shape the vessel. But this time what I'm going to do is I am working with the wire and I'm making a wire foundation, which I'm then going to put the fiber around. So we'll see how that works. Question for all of you. Have you ever flipped your process around and done the opposite? So if you started one way and then ended another way, have you ever attempted to start with the way you ended and work in the opposite direction? It's kind of an interesting challenge. We'll see what happens, and I'll take you along. These are the materials I'm thinking about using anyway. I've got some chicken wire scraps here. I've got some galvanized wire in different gauges. This is a 20 gauge. I think this is like a 18 gauge. Yep. And I have some of this. I have some wire that's wrapped in fabric, so I want to find that because, and then I have these branches, which I may or may not use as well. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. I created a little round base, and now I've got 5 pieces of wire. I decided to cut them at, I figure it's going to be about 8 inches high. I wanted to keep it small. The minute I started pulling out this branch and saw how long it was, I thought, you know what, I'm going to want to make it as long as this branch, which is like 30 inches, and that's big for a first time, so let me go smaller. So I'm going to attach these, and I'm thinking I'm going to do it the same way that I did when I built my big vessel, which was to bend the wire around this base and then see what happens. So I'll keep doing that. It's hard to see this, but this is what I've got so far. Okay, this is what I'm doing. So I have this structure. I've left gaps in the chicken wire in places. I've just kind of attached it to give it a kind of rough shape. And now I'm taking fabric and I'm just kind of starting to see what I think. It's hard to make out what's going on here because there's so much stuff, but this is my little piece. And what's happening is that I am having to work in a very different way as a result of this little structure, and I'm kind of loving it. It's totally different, but I'm really enjoying this process of creating on top of a preconceived structure. I've never worked this way. It's kind of the antithesis of the way I usually work, which is very improvisational, very kind of just, I guess people call it intuitive. I don't know how much intuitive. It's because I'm always thinking also about color, shape, the size of different shapes, incorporating different materials. So there is thinking. It's not just like my gut is telling me. I took this piece of lace. This is one of my grandfathers, my grand-père, who was Swiss, and he imported Swiss lace to all the haute couture houses in Paris, Dior and Lanvin, all of them. And this one I painted with some ink tints, and let it dry. And I kind of love how this is looking. So what I'm thinking is sort of like gathering it and kind of applying it, or maybe not gathering it, maybe just applying it sort of in a, so that's one thought. I also pulled out this, which I keep pulling out. I'm not sure the colors are working anymore, but I could move into blues and greens. And right now I'm very much in the sort of lime and orange category. I do want to pull out some more burlap, and this is my cheesecloth from Julie over at booth JB4757, I think is her Instagram handle. In any case, she does these gorgeous hand-dyed cheesecloths, which I was lucky enough to get in on when she sells them once, I don't know how often, but she sells them on her Instagram every now and then, and I got in there and bought a lot of them. So I'm loving that. This is a paper towel that I just stitched and then wet and did. A bunch of people on the internet, on YouTube, have shown how to do this. This also might be, I think someone referenced Cass Holmes, the wonderfully talented mixed media artist. I think she was referenced. I'm not, I think so. In any case, I painted this with Inktense as well. Then I did stitches, a diagonal grid. Then I wet it and I pulled a whole bunch of parts out, which I can still do if I want. You don't have to wet it, but it does come out a little easier if you do. In any case, what I'm thinking is to just cut a little bit of it and sort of drape it in places. The whole thing here is that this is reminding me of, fishing nets. So I was thinking of incorporating, like these are some sea pods that I picked up off the floor when I was in Chile. And I think this is too big a piece of driftwood, but I don't know, it would be kind of fun to incorporate that. And then I have this rusted boat tow rope, I don't know what you call it, but I could add that. And I have a feather, and I've got some other bits of yarn, and this is bits of driftwood that I picked up in Argentina and Patagonia, and I could certainly add all of this in. This is a collage that I did, and then I cut the shape out, and I actually cut this from another little sample that I've been working on and then stitched it on. It's pretty heavy cardboard stock. There's rice paper glued on top, and then there's acrylic. And in any case, this would be a fun thing, I think, to add. So that's, I've got a couple of sugar packets from the Owasi Lodge, but it would be fun I could paint on it. I could just open this up and stitch onto it. I can also back it with my, the way I did this, back it with a fusible, which is a really nice technique for paper because then it becomes like, it's basically fabric. I'm building this up. I want to keep some of this bare. That's my thinking at this point. I'm not sure how or like what that's going to look like. But I'm just going to keep layering and building. This has really, really been interesting because I do not work this way typically. So it's been, but I'm liking how this is going. It also reminded me of draping, and when I was at Parsons in fashion design, and draping was my favorite class. I loved draping. So I'm actually thinking of pushing this up like that. I kind of pinned it to sort of get a better idea. I incorporated that bit of lace that I dyed with Inktense, and I'll keep going. But let's see if I can, make this into something. Right now, this is cool, but there's a whole lot here more to do. So we'll see what happens. One of the things that I thought of as I was working was this idea of self-betrayal, which I am unfortunately all too familiar with. Self-betrayal comes in so many different forms, and I think for each person, perhaps differently. But for me, it was one of them was not remaining true to myself and really taking the time to find out what I really love and what I really want, looking to other people to tell me what they thought I should do or what they thought I might like, and then trying to do that. Once I started to really listen and to myself and ask myself the really important questions, I have found my confidence has soared in my artwork, and I'm also far more courageous and brave and able to not get caught up in perfectionism and those nagging voices of self-doubt. But instead, I can look at a piece like this, try something that I've never tried before, working in a way that requires a completely different process than I'm used to, and just having fun and enjoying the whole experience, and not putting any pressure or expectation on it. Well, maybe a little expectation. I mean, I'm hoping I like it, but being able to really just go with it. I'm embracing all of you, and I'm sending everyone a big virtual hug. Happy New Year.